Welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan, and this is my brother Rustin, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros, and so we're super excited to talk about some good basketball today. Rustin, that's our first topic today is the BasketVols. I'm given to understand that when you win an SEC collegiate basketball game by more than 40 points at your opponent's arena, that's a good game. What do you think about today?
This is the group I've been waiting to see. A fully healthy, 10 deep, just really, really talented roster of guys that are clicking on all cylinders. Rick Barnes has been a defensive mastermind for years and has had some incredible defensive teams. And a week and a half ago, he made the statement publicly that this is the best defensive team he's ever coached. That alone will win you 70% of your games. When they have the ability to score the way they are right now, with the depth that they have, if these 10 guys stay healthy, this group is going to make a very deep postseason run because they check all the boxes for March Madness.
Yeah, it was really, I know it's kind of funny to say, but one of the best parts of the game today was watching all the different lineup combinations that they put on the floor.
Yeah.
It was fascinating, just the combination of talent and size, and that was the funnest part of the whole game to me. I mean, other than the play of the game, in my opinion, was the fast break in the first half where Z makes a steal, passes it to Key. He gives it back to Z, who makes a bounce pass to Kamwa coming down the lane and slammed it. Man, that's something that you see on like our dad said it too, like a promo film or something. Like that was textbook. That was a beautiful thing. So I'm going to ask you an interesting question here about this team. And this can be our question of the day, I guess. And you can let us know in the comments. Hey, speaking of which, we would love for you to join our show. We would love for you to put, your thoughts in the comments. I'm actually going to right now, as we're talking, post a link in the comments where you can actually join our show on air if you want to. You can come on the screen with us. If you don't want to come on the screen, you can just, turn your camera off and just have your voice like a Zoom call or something. But that link is now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you are more than welcome to join us. And we love to see your comments. And if you're commenting on Facebook or YouTube, I can put them on the screen for everybody else to see too. If you comment on Twitter, that's cool. I'll just read it to everybody. But here's my question. And you can give us your answer in the comments. Rustin, I'll give you this question here. Is this the deepest team the University of Tennessee men's basketball team has ever had?
No. Okay. From a talent perspective, potentially yes, because I don't know that we've ever had 10 guys that at any given time they can put any 5 of them out there and successfully execute any form of basketball that they want to execute. But if you think back to the Jerry Green days, there were years when Jerry Green played 12, 14 guys a night, and he had some dudes. Now, the overall talent level probably wasn't to the caliber of these guys, but he could roll 12 to 14 guys out there that could go out and turn every night into a street fight. And they were competing at a really high level. And, those were the Wayne Chisholm years, Tony Harris. There were some Vince Yarborough. There was some dudes that could play. But they were surrounded by just a laundry list of athletes who could fly up and down the floor. And Jerry Green, that's what he wanted to do. He flew around and played as fast as humanly possible. Now, from a depth perspective, I think he probably had times on those rosters when the 5 guys on the floor were just athletes and they weren't going to play after college. Tennessee right now legitimately has 4, maybe 5 guys that are going to end up being in the NBA. And honestly, the one that I'm most excited about is probably the one that's on the least people's radar right now. But if you watch from game one to right now, the maturity and the post fundamentals and the maturation of Tobe Awaka, that guy is blowing up in front of our eyes. And he won us a couple of games recently with his post depth, getting big rebounds, big points,
especially when Josiah was out.
Yeah, he made great moves in the post today. He got exposed a little bit when he had to defend people on the perimeter, but it's a freshman who has never had to do that before. So you just kind of live with it. But when you look at that kid, and then you find out that he had never stepped foot in a weight room until he got to Tennessee because his high school couldn't afford one. That kid is chiseled and it's 100% natural. And he's in one of the top strength programs in America. In a year or two, that kid is going to be a monster. And I think the ceiling is enormous for Tobe Awaka.
Yeah, it reminds you of Air Pons when he first came, and he said he never lifted weights ever. He just did some push-ups, and he was like ripped, man.
Yep.
Obviously, a tremendous game for the BasketVols today. A successful week for the BasketVols, going 2-0 this week. 2 SEC games, they won one by 30-plus points and one by 40-plus points.
And that Mississippi State win looks even more impressive because Mississippi State just beat Ole Miss by 10 in a slugfest.
Well, and I mean, Mississippi State, they're good. Like they came into that, they were 11-2, I think, when they came into the Tennessee game, maybe 11-3 at the worst. I mean, they're a good team.
Yeah.
So that was a really good win. Really good win. The Lady Vols, they had a good week this week. Did you want to say anything else about the BasketVols before we move on?
Probably just two things that I think really stand out. And I think if people watch the BasketVols last year, early in the season, Olivier Comwa was an absolute force. He was dominating every game, and then he got hurt, ironically, at South Carolina, the game that was played today. This game last year was when he got hurt and his season ended. I think we are finally seeing a 100% healthy and confident Olivier Comwa. And I'll tell you, some of his post moves and some of his ability to score inside looks so much like Grant Williams. When he's got the ability to step away and shoot the ball the way he does and then post up the way he can. I mean, the guy hasn't missed a shot in 2023.
Yeah, I saw that. They tweeted that out. That's pretty good.
Unbelievable. In 2 SEC matches in 2023, he has not missed a shot.
It's a good year.
And it's not because he ain't taking them. I mean, he was 10 for 10 today.
Yeah. Including from behind the arc.
Right. I think the fact that he's 100% healthy is huge. And then I think the part that has to just terrify every other coach in the SEC. Number one, Rick Barnes, again, is saying this is the best defensive team he's ever had. But number two, if you look at Tennessee's stats as of today, when Josiah Jordan-James plays, they score an average of 14 more points a game. When Josiah Jordan-James plays, they currently have 6 different guys averaging between 13 and 8.5 points a game. So essentially 6 guys averaging between 13 and 9 points a game. It's almost impossible to game plan for that. You never know who's going to be the guy that's going to get hot. You never know who's going to be the guy that's going to beat you. You've got to play everybody straight up. And there's 6 of them. We only play 5. So that means one coming off the bench you have to account for as well. And you're facing the number 1 defensive team in America. It's a recipe it's a recipe for a Final Four.
Yeah. And I mean, as an opposing coach, that's a nightmare to try to game plan for. Because you can't be like, well, we'll shade over on this guy. No, you can't, because you can't leave the other guy open. That's what, multiple people were saying, like national media people were saying today, when the Vols offense shows up, they're going to be hard to beat. I mean, and, when they played Mississippi State, that was a situation where everybody knows, if you've watched basketball or, for any significant amount at all, there's some nights that all you can say is it was just one of those nights, and that can go either way. It could be a night where nothing's falling and the other team's hitting everything. It's just one of those nights. I mean, that happens. I can vividly remember specific games in my mind that I'm thinking of right now. Then there's other nights when it goes positively. It's just one of those nights. Shooting over 60% in an entire basketball game, especially an SEC Division I basketball game, that's phenomenal. And when they did that against Mississippi State, so we were actually sitting at the lunch table at work, and somebody asked me about that, and I said, "Well, it's one of those things where it's just one of those nights, you know. I mean, like it's something that you don't think will ever be replicated." Well, then at halftime tonight, they're shooting 61% in the first set. They did it again.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's incredible. That was an incredible back to back. If you shoot 50, forget that. If you shoot 45% in a game as a team, that's incredible.
And
to
today,
shoot over 60 twice, that's incredible.
Yeah, today they finished the game 51% from the floor, 45% from three. But I think what's most impressive about it, and I think it's because they finally have that extra guy. They've got fresh legs, they've got depth. It wasn't tough shots. They were executing the offense and they were getting easy looks. And they were flying around off screens, they were back cutting to people to death. That's just unbelievable. Somebody just commented this, the largest margin of victory for a road game since 1965. I think I saw another stat that it's actually the largest margin of victory ever in an SEC game. It was either ever in the SEC or ever it was ever for South Carolina. It was their largest loss ever.
Anytime you can beat a team by 40 plus points
in their gym,
in the SEC, that's phenomenal. I mean, that's unheard of. Once again, it's just one of those situations where, like periodically over the course of multiple years, you might have a night where you can just say, it was just one of those nights. And they've had back-to-back games of just one of those nights. Like, that's incredible. Thank you,
I don't think it's
$19.79.
going to be just one of those nights. I think what we're watching is what we're going to see for the rest of this semester.
I hope so.
So much depth. They move so well. They love sharing the ball. They're just going to be again, if they can stay healthy, they are going to be an insanely fun team to watch for the next 2 months.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chatsworth1979, for commenting that. We appreciate that. We got another comment here from our buddy Travis.
Yeah, we're not
former
paying
English
attention to
teacher
that one.
using the word ain't. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Thank you, Travis, for commenting. We appreciate that.
I won't
we got
respond
one from
to
Facebook
what the PE
and Twitter.
teachers say.
Or one from Facebook and YouTube. So we got people watching on both platforms. That's awesome. Let's see here. Let's move. You want to move on to the Lady Vols?
Sure.
All right. So the Lady Vols, 2-0 this week. They won on Sunday at home against Alabama, 89-76. Last night, they beat, what is today? Friday? Yeah, today, man, I couldn't even remember a day there for a second. No, wait, today's Saturday. It's not Friday. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, man. That's been that kind of week, man. It's been a busy, busy week. So 2 nights ago, they beat Mississippi State at home,
right,
80-69, and they play tomorrow at Vanderbilt. That's a good start to SEC play for the Lady Vols. They're now 3-0 in SEC play to start the season.
Yeah.
What do you think about them for this week?
So similar to what I said about Rick Barnes. So I'm a big Kelly Harper fan. I think she is the second coming of Pat Summitt. It is eerie sometimes when you watch video of her coaching, how incredibly similar she is to Pat. And she's starting to build the roster depth to play the way that she wants to play. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. You never, ever, ever want someone to get injured. You never, ever, ever want to have someone have an injury that even goes further than injury to the point of possibly being a mortality issue, like Tamari Key is dealing with. But I have long felt that Tamari Key was holding this roster back. And at the beginning of the season, I felt like at times they were intentionally slowing down and being less athletic so that they could focus on getting Tamari Key the ball. And I just don't. I'm not a believer in her ability. Since her injury, they're 7-1. And all of a sudden, they're playing 12, 14 girls a night. They're flying around. They're extremely active. They're being very athletic. They're sharing the ball. Tess Darby all of a sudden has become a great scorer because people are penetrating and kicking and she's getting open looks. Rakia Jackson has become a factor because all of a sudden we're being very athletic and we're flying around. Jordan Horston led them in scoring against Mississippi State, again, because we're being athletic and flying around. I'll be
Well, let's
honest,
be clear, that one loss was a
was a
7-point
7-point loss
loss
to number
at
2
the number
Stanford.
2 country number 2 team in the country at
Yeah.
Stanford.
And they were in the game late. They had a chance. So I'm not going to go so far as to say I hope Tamari Key never comes back, but if she does, I hope that the coaching staff realizes that she's going to have to learn how to play at this speed and not make everybody else slow down to play at her speed. Because they are a really, really good team when they're flying around and wreaking havoc.
And just to be clear, I mean, we hope nothing but the best for Tamari's health situation. That
Right.
in no way are we trying to imply anything other than that.
Yeah. It's just a very different team when she's not out there. I mean,
sure.
It's just reality. Anybody can watch it and see it. It's clear.
Yeah, I mean, the results speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little football. So some stuff's been happening this week. First of all, we found out late this week that after okay, I'm just gonna be honest here. The funniest things I saw this week were when people were tweeting. Jalen Wright tweeted some cryptic tweets. What? They're not cryptic. I mean, dude was saying, "I'm gonna leave." Like that's what he's saying. He was like,
"Pay me or I'm gone."
Yeah, I mean, like that. There was nothing cryptic about it. That was cracking me up. People were like, "It's cryptic tweets." No, it's not. Are you kidding me? That's like if I really like Chick-fil-A, which I do. I just had it for dinner tonight. If I said thinking about a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and people are like, "That's a cryptic tweet." Like he might be going to Chick-fil-A. No, I'm going to Chick-fil-A. Like that's what I'm doing. I couldn't believe people were like, "These are cryptic tweets." He was openly saying publicly that he was thinking about leaving because, in his words, it's a business decision. That's what he was saying. Found out late this week he signed an NIL deal with the Volunteer Club, and now he will be returning next season. Here's my humble opinion on this deal. No one will ever know, other than Jalen and his family, if he was actually considering leaving. Some people are speculating, that he just worked the system, and if so, he did, and he got it. No one will ever know if he was thinking about leaving. However, I will say this. I do not believe he was playing second fiddle to Jabari Small. Anywhere you go in major Division I college football right now, there is going to be at least 2, if not 3 running backs on a rotation during the game, because as a running back, your body takes a tremendous toll.
Yeah.
You all game long, you are the target when you have the ball in your hands. And on the off play, when you don't have the ball in your hands, you're then blocking and picking up blitzes from 260-pound linebackers coming right at you. Like that. Everywhere you go, if you are a running back, you are going to be one of at least 2, if not 3 players in the game during the game. And so I don't think that was a legitimate complaint. I mean, he hasn't started a game when Jabari Small has been there, so maybe that's what he's frustrated about. But I think everybody could see his value. Obviously, the people at Tennessee did, and that's why they signed him to this deal. And but I think this does set a precedent that you're going to see this more and more and more as years go by. Kids are going to say, "Hey, pay me or I'm leaving." and I don't know if that's what happened with Jabari. None of us will ever know. But
I think Jalen also probably got his feelings hurt a little
I
bit
mean
too.
Jalen, yeah, my bad.
Yeah. I think he got his feelings hurt a little bit too because Marshawn Lloyd absolutely met with the Tennessee coaching staff.
Yep.
And, that was known. Everybody knew Marshawn was on campus. For those of you who don't know who Marshawn Lloyd is, that's South Carolina's starting running back who just committed it to the other USC. He's going to the West Coast to play for Lincoln Riley. But he absolutely met with the Tennessee coaching staff. And I think Jalen's a smart kid. I think he sees Dylan Sampson. He knows that Dylan has an incredibly bright future. He knows Jabari is a mainstay, and he's sitting there going, "Holy cow, Marshawn Lloyd's going to be here too. I'm never getting a ball."
Yeah, I can understand that.
Because after a year in the UT strength program, Dylan Sampson might pass up Jalen Wright. People forget he's a true freshman. Like,
right.
He's going to get better and better. So the fact that Marshawn Lloyd was a legitimate option to come to UT, Jalen probably was looking around going, okay, clearly I can't be here.
Yeah, I understand that. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year with Dylan Sampson because the only thing that kept him off the field this year was pass protection. And so if he's able to, develop that over the course, I mean, we all remember the hit against Hendon Hooker at LSU where I was just thankful Hendon ribs didn't break, that was a massive hit. Well, that was a missed blitz pickup by Dylan Sampson. And so, that's going to have to be, if he improves in that area, which he did throughout the course of the year. If you look at his games later in the season, he had a massive blitz pickup against, it was a big game. I can't remember what it was now. But if he develops that, then he'll be on the field. I mean, that's the way it is. But Jalen, he got better throughout the year too.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he was running the ball at the end, he would not come down. Like, it was fun to watch him run the ball. And so I'll be looking forward to seeing him running again next year.
Our last two games, I thought Jalen Wright was the best running back on the field. He played really, really well. I think the other thing people forget about Dylan Sampson is, again, he hasn't been in a college strength program. Like, he's going to go through an off season where they're going to get a nutritionist with him. They're going to get the strength team with him, and he's going to add 10 to 15 pounds of muscle mass. And, a lot of times that was part of his pass protection issues was he just wasn't physically big enough to stand in there and hold people up. Sometimes he just whiffed, but, sometimes it was just that he just wasn't big enough to do it. And, add 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and all of a sudden pass pro may not be an issue anymore.
Another football news this week, there were multiple transfers visiting. Even today and yesterday, there were multiple people on campus. Probably the most, well, it's hard to say which one's most important, but the lineman from Miami, last name Campbell, I can't remember his first name. He was there, and he, based on his social media, he enjoyed the time.
Yep.
It sounds like he's heavily leaning towards Tennessee. Hey, that'd be a nice pickup if we get him.
That's the kid that went to his Florida visit the next day and was tweeting pictures of Tennessee while he was on campus at Florida.
Well, that kid's instantly a favorite of everybody. Also, Dante Thornton, the transfer wide receiver from Oregon. He's all signs look like he's going to be a Vol.
I would expect that one before the weekend's over.
And I'll be honest. If you're a wide receiver, if you're a good wide receiver in collegiate athletics, why would you not want to try to get into Tennessee? Like, you're going to be getting the ball, and they're set at the quarterback position for a while too.
Well, and if anybody who has watched Dante Thornton play, that kid's a game changer. 6'5", 4.4 40. There aren't many people out there that are that size who can run that fast. and he catches the ball. He's not just a freak athlete. He catches anything near him. He's a guy that they can actually move around. He could play literally any of the receiver positions because of his speed and size. He's an intriguing player. The other two defensive linemen that are there are Devon Sears from Texas State. He's a true freshman who is probably going to be named Freshman All-American. He's narrowed it down to Tennessee, Penn State, and Oklahoma. Really good player, kid that will walk in with 3 years of eligibility left, and coming off a Freshman All-American campaign. He can play both interior line positions and potentially defensive end. He might actually be able to play 3 positions. And then Omar Norman Lott, who has 1 year of eligibility left, I believe. He might have a COVID year still, at least 1, maybe 2, from Arizona State, who by all accounts was their best defensive lineman this year. He's on campus right now. So what I've been hearing is we're going to get at least 1 this weekend, maybe 2. So coaches seem to think that some of these guys are, just basically coming to confirm that they're coming. Dante Thornton, I think, falls in that bucket. I think he's just there this weekend more than anything to find out what his NIL options are, and then he's going to commit. I would not be surprised if Omar Norman Lott commits this weekend too from Arizona State. And then another name to keep an eye out for, LSU linebacker Demario Tolan. He has not scheduled his visit to UT yet, but coming out of high school, former 4-star, highly rated linebacker, played some as a true freshman at LSU. Coming out of high school, it came down to LSU and Tennessee. And Tennessee coaches have maintained contact with him, and I would not be surprised at all if he's a Vol next fall.
Well, our last question we're going to talk about today. So, if people don't think economics is influential in college football right now, well,
they make money off this stuff.
Yeah, you need to take a gander at coaching salaries. This week, Shane Beamer received a massive raise. And when I say massive, I mean massive. He went from, I believe it was $2.8 million a year to now he's going to be making $6.5 million per year. Yes, you heard me correctly. Shane Beamer, the head coach at the University of South Carolina, will now be making $6.5 million per year.
There aren't many jobs out there where you can get a 250% raise. That's a pretty good year.
Not bad. Not bad. Not a bad Christmas gift there. Now, that makes him a higher paid coach than Josh Heupel, because currently Josh Heupel, I believe, is making $5 million per year. So, will Josh Heupel get a raise since Shane Beamer just got a huge raise? Can we expect that soon?
I would think so. I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's only a matter of time before people start calling for the rest of his staff as well. Alex Golish already got a promotion. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see raises for all the coaches. I've got the breakdown of every single SEC annual salary here. And probably the ones that jump out to me, Lane Kiffin makes $9 million a year and Mark Stoops makes 8.6. I think Josh Heupel can absolutely make a case that he should make as much or more than both of those guys. Especially when you look at the total revenue that football brought into the university this year. That's going to be well over $100 million. So I would expect Josh Heupel is going to get somewhere in that $9 million a year range. Wouldn't be surprised if he got a deal similar to Lane's just because it was recent. The next tier up is the one that's interesting. Jimbo Fisher gets $9.5 million a year, and Brian Kelly gets $9.5. I think Josh Heupel could maybe even make a case. Hey, Brian Kelly makes $9.5. We went down there and whipped his tail on his own field, so maybe I should get $10.
And he's going to beat Jimbo next year in Neyland.
Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got 10 and became the third highest paid coach in the conference. He'd be behind Kirby. Kirby's at 11.25 and Saban's at 11.7. So he'd be behind the two technically best coaches in the conference. And I think he can make a case that that's legitimate.
That's fair. Yeah. Straight economics, man. Market value, it'd be nice to be making that much money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
his wife will be very happy.
Yeah, no kidding. I think we can definitely expect an announcement in the not so distant future that Josh Heupel has received a raise. Well, so we got one.
I think we'll probably see a tight end coach get hired first.
Yeah,
because they'll want to look at the salary of that individual before they decide what all the other assistants' salaries are going to be. Then they'll look at their total pool of money, talk to some donors, and come up with what Heupel's new package looks like.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Banks is probably going to get a raise because last year, not this year, last year, after 1 year at Tennessee, Duke University was talking to him about coming and being their head coach.
Yeah.
So Tim Banks is probably going to get a raise. I'm sure. I mean, they don't want to lose Rodney Gardner, so he's a necessity to keep. So these guys are definitely going to get raises. We have one last thing that we're really excited to tell everybody about. So next Friday, which would be Friday the 13th, we have a very, very special guest. We are going to have the one, the only Coach Lance Decker on the show, baby. It's going to be awesome. And I'm so excited about that. Coach Lance is going to be joining us. And so keep your eyes open for that next Friday. We're super excited about that. Winning it, 150-0. He's 150-0 as a head coach, former head coach at the University of Tennessee. Only him and Jim Chaney are the only two coaches who never lost a game as a Tennessee head coach. So Coach Lance never won one either, unfortunately. He didn't have that opportunity. They hired Heupel before he took the field. But we're super excited about having Coach Lance on the show next Friday. That's going to be awesome. So keep your eyes open for that. Hey, we thank everybody so much for joining us today. I think we're all probably about to go watch Robert Joshua Dobbs lead the Tennessee Titans against the Jaguars.
Can we all agree that no one actually cares about the Titans until now? Like nobody really pays that much attention to the Titans all season. Then it gets to the playoffs and the playoff hunt, and it's like, okay, we'll start paying a little bit of attention. But then you throw Josh Dobbs in the mix as the guy, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll watch the Titans now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. Because so Josh Dobbs and Hendon Hooker may be the two easiest people in the history of sports to root for. I mean, they're awesome, awesome men. They're awesome guys. How can you not root for them? And so we get to go watch Josh Dobbs play some football tonight in a very meaningful game. They got a playoff spot on the line. Yeah, exactly.
And they're actually going to let him play with Derrick Henry this week, so maybe he'll have a chance.
That's right. That's exactly right. But thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We had a bunch of people watching, and we're so appreciative of that. Thank you for those of you who interacted with us. That's our favorite part, man, when people interact with us. So thank you all. If you would subscribe to our channel, man, that'd be awesome too. That would be super, super fantastic. We would really appreciate that. Text a buddy. Hey, tell everybody you know about the Vol Bros. And
Danny White's never going to live that down.
No, never. It's too easy. It's too easy to say. So please let everybody know about next Friday, because we're going to be pumping it out big time this week, man. We're going to tell everybody about Coach Lance coming on the show. So be looking for that next Friday. Go Vols and go Lady Vols tomorrow afternoon at Vanderbilt at 1:00. And go Josh Dobbs tonight and the rest of the Titans, I guess. But go Josh Dobbs, and we will see everybody very, very soon.